This is section 10.5 on Pythagorean Theorem. So we can use Pythagorean Theorem in right triangles only, and Pythagorean Theorem states that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A and b represent the legs on the triangle, and c represents the hypotenuse, which is the longest side of the right triangle. And you can always locate the hypotenuse by going opposite of the right angle. So I'm going to show you two examples on, if you know two of the side lengths, how to find the third length of a right triangle. So the first example is going to be finding the hypotenuse. So say we had a right triangle with legs of 10 and 24, and we're missing c, that length of the hypotenuse. So we're going to write down Pythagorean Theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A and b could be your two legs, so the 10 and the 24 get substituted for the a and the b. We're looking for c. So order of operations state that we should do the exponents next. So this is 100. 24 squared is 576. If we add those together, we get 676 equals c squared. And from a previous lesson, we should know to unsquare something, we need to take the square root of both sides. So the square root of 676 is 26, because 26 times 26 is 676. So that was finding the hypotenuse. Now say we had another triangle, but we're missing one of the legs. So for example, let's say we had a sailboat. This is my sailboat. We know the leg down here is 10 feet. We know the length of the sail is 20 feet. And I'm missing the height. So this forms a right triangle. So we can find the height of that by using Pythagorean Theorem. So again, we're going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. This time c is 20 because that is the hypotenuse, and 10 could be either a or b. So we're going to use it as a. So 10 squared plus b squared equals 20 squared. We're going to square the numbers, so we have 100 plus b squared equals 400. Solving this for b, you need to subtract 100 on both sides. So you get b squared equals 300. And like before, we need to take the square root of both sides. So the square root of 300 rounded to the nearest hundredth is around 17.32. And we're going to put a unit on this one, feet. So the height of the sail is 17.32 feet. Okay, there's another thing called Pythagorean triples. If you are given three side lengths and they ask you determine whether those three side lengths can be the sides of a right triangle, you have to prove that they satisfy a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So if the three numbers make this true, then it would be three sides of a right triangle, which is a Pythagorean triple. If it doesn't, then they can't be side lengths of a right triangle. So I'll go through two examples of these types of questions. So let's say they give you the side lengths of 9, 12, and 16. They want to know if these could be the side lengths of a right triangle. So we know that c is the length of the hypotenuse, which is the longest side. So c is 16. And then we can label a as 9 and b as 12. So we're going to do 9 squared plus 12 squared. Does that equal what 16 squared is? So we need to square these numbers. That's 81, 144. 16 squared is 256. On the left, you add those numbers together and you get 225, which we know is not equal to 256. So these cannot be not sides of a right triangle. Likewise, if I show you another example, say we have the numbers 30, 40, and 50. I want to know if these will form a right triangle. C is the longest side, so that's C. We could say this one's B and 30 as A. I want to prove, does 30 squared plus 40 squared equal 50 squared? So we're going to square all these, 900, 1600, 2500. The 900 and the 1600 added together is 2500. So that does equal 2500. So these three side lengths are sides on a right triangle. So you could say, yes, these are sides of a right triangle. So for homework, you're going to have to do 3 questions similar to what I showed you in the video. Use Pythagorean Theorem. Write it down every time. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Figure out what side length you're missing out of A, B, and C, and solve that. So you will need to do 3 questions on a piece of notebook paper and take a picture and upload it to Google Classroom.